Now let's take an inside look at unlimited hydroplane racing with the T-Plus Performance Corner.
Hi, I'm Steve David, and welcome to the T-Plus Performance Corner. I'm relaxing right now and just kind of enjoying the day, but when I'm not doing this and in the race boat, it's a whole different story because of something called G-force. Take a look at the video and I'll show you what I mean. As you see, we're getting thrown around in the cockpit, and even though we're strapped in a 6-point harness, strapped as tight as you can possibly be, we're still getting thrown around because of that thing called G-force. And G-force is gravity, and it's multiplied when we go into a turn. You'll see my head kind of slam against the right side of that headrest. That's about 4 G's, because I'm entering the turn right now at about 215 miles an hour. Although the pedal's wide open, it deaccelerates to something in the order of about 160 miles an hour in a little bit less than a second and a half. The load is somewhat constant unless the boat gets what's called unhooked or comes out of the water and dives back in, and then that G-force may be magnified to where you've got a load of 7 or 8 times your head weight against the headrest. Once we're down the straightaway again, as you can see, it's a lot smoother. The head and the body are straight up and down. The only thing we're feeling now is the load of the boat jumping from wave to wave. While the race itself may last from, say, 2.5 to 5 minutes, as you can see by the film, we get beat up an awful lot in that short period of time, and that's why it's nice to be able to sit down afterwards and relax, gather your composure, and get ready for the next heat.
Now, speaking of the next heat, in 2A, as we look at Diamond Head, a beautiful sight here in Honolulu. It'll be in lane number 1, the Tide, lane 2, American Spirit, Oh Boy Alberto in lane 3, the Miss Sprint in lane 4, and on the outside, Kauai Aloha. As we look at the Tide coming down the back chute, Steve Evans was down in the pits earlier and caught up to a very familiar face.
Well, there's 3 words they can take off of the Tide boat because George Woods is back. Not quite ready for the cockpit, but feeling pretty good, huh?
Oh, we're feeling great. We're not quite up to speed for being in the boat this weekend, but it's not going to be too long. We're going to be back.
Now, the doctor said your injuries were typical of a guy that fell off a 3-story building.
Yes, we when the boat came back down, when it landed, basically tried to put me right through the bottom of the cockpit. Broke my ankles and my back and a few ribs, and, you know, but, hey, we're doing great. We're going to be back. We're healthy.
So you're ready for 94? You're going to be ready for 94?
We're going to be ready for 94. We're going to be tough in 94.
Well, it's good to see George back out onto the circuit anyway, even if it's as a spectator. He'll be watching now in lane number 1. It is the Tide boat, the boat that he drives normally. Nate Brown is aboard the boat today, and he is being challenged right off the bat by the Payless American Spirit on the outside. And next to him is the Oh Boy Alberto, Mike Ekrit.
And look at Nate Brown hug those buoys as he exits turn number 2. He knows this is his last ride in the Tide boat. He wants to leave a resume for another team for 94.
I guarantee you he's got some great credentials that a lot of other teams will be looking at, and there you can see why, because he pulls away from the American Spirit to take sole possession of first place. So the Tide boat has moved into the lead. It is American Spirit in 2nd place. Mark Evans, the driver of that boat, still back in 3rd. Oh Boy Alberto, Mike Ekrit. Then it's the Miss Sprint and the Kauai Aloha, Mike Jones.
The temperature today here in Honolulu over 90 degrees, the humidity over 95%. In fact, it's so hot inside those cockpits, Nate Brown was icing down his air cylinder. The oxygen that they breathe, they have cool air.
As we complete lap number 1, it's the Tide in front at an average speed 143.308. Just a couple of miles an hour slower than that. In 2nd place, you look to the left of your screen, is Payless American Spirit, checked in at 141.1.
It looks like the Tide boat is having just a great day. There seems to be no problem at all with that boat. Nate Brown looking at the speedometer and checking out all of his gauges as he is now in the lead and in command. He wants to know what's left in that boat, whether he's got extra power. He had a challenge early on from the American Spirit. This boat, Mark Evans, who's riding still in 2nd place. Now he knows Mark Evans may have some more power left. He may be pacing himself. So Nate Brown is going to try to keep himself in position where he can get a little bit more out of the Tide boat, so he'll finish in 1st place.
As they come down now to complete lap number 2, there is a definite lead by the Tide by about 8 boat lengths over the 2nd place, Payless American Spirit. And our 3rd place boat at the time is Oh Boy Alberto with Mike Ekrit.
Jim, could you ask for better water than this, better conditions?
It's one of the better times we've seen in the 4 years we've been here, Steve. And, of course, you know, as you said earlier, it's saltwater, more buoyant, bigger bite for the props. We'll get better speeds, and the turns, they're excellent here.
Well, whatever, it's going to the advantage of the Tide at this moment because Tide is in the lead and having no problem at all and no challenge. The Payless American Spirit tried to move up early on in the race. There's 3rd place, the Oh Boy Alberto. Now, they had a little bit of problem earlier in the day, so perhaps perhaps he's a little bit leery of how much power he can put to that engine at this point. He just wants to get his points and try to qualify for the final. Miss Sprint holding in the 4th place, but the boat that has not been challenged since the start of the race on the midway point of the backstretch in lap number 1, the Tide boat, coming out of the turn, and as he comes out, looks like he had a problem. It looked like he loaded up just a little bit coming out of the turn, the Tide boat trying to get it across. Meanwhile, the Payless American Spirit, Mark Evans is trying to close him down on the back. He's shutting down. The Tide boat is losing power on the front straight. There's the Payless American Spirit. Takes him as they approach the line. He takes the win. Now the question is, can the Tide get across before Oh Boy Alberto? No, he cannot. Oh Boy Alberto takes it. Tide takes 3rd place. What a finish. Miss Sprint coming in 4th. The Kauai Aloha did not start the race. Let's go to the pits for some words from the winner.
The Payless American Spirit just coming out of the water behind us. The driver, Mark Evans, you had to be about as surprised as anybody.
I was. All of a sudden, I was just going to run with the tide and be casual today. And all of a sudden, when I saw him going down, my crew guy just started screaming at me to get going. Mark Addis was on the phone saying, you better get on it. And we went right by, and I'm just really happy for everybody. It must have been the food down at Chili's that got us going or something, but we're doing really good today.
Well, the Winston Eagle is getting ready to go back out on the course. We'll find out if that team has cured their problems. Meanwhile, Steve Evans has traipsed down to the pits for a look at another problem-plagued team. He's with Nate Brown.
What a heartbreaker. That appeared to be a sure thing.
Boy, tell me about it. I mean, I'm really upset. But, hey, you know, those things happen. You know, the boat was handling great and everything else, and I said on the radio, I'm going to leg it down the last stretch because I was backed off, you know, and as soon as I did that, dang, if a dang thing didn't just go...
You could hear the shaft. I guess it was a shaft.
Oh, yeah, what a terrible feeling, you know. Up and down the pits here, we all have our mimic of a prop shaft going, you know, and the best one, though, is Harvey. He does it really good. It's...
But can you fix it?
We're going to try. You know, we're always going to try to fix anything that's broken, you know, so who knows?
Okay, hope to see you the next heat.
Thanks a lot.
Well, with that vivid description of what happens when a drive shaft lets go, we'll let go here for just a few moments from Honolulu, Hawaii, but we'll be back with Heat 2B. Don't you go.
Pavilions, but this weekend there's a true festival atmosphere. Traditional native dances, rides for the kids. It's going on everywhere you look. A wonderful time. And right now, though, all eyes will be on the water. Heat 2B.
Budweiser, lane 1. Kellogg's, lane 2. T-Plus, lane 3. Winston Eagle on the outside. So, the Kellogg's and Winston now go head-to-head in that battle for 2nd place in the O'Duals Championships.
But it is the 2 boats in the center of the field, lanes 2 and 3, that are battling it out. The Kellogg's Frosted Flakes and the Miss T-Plus. And Kellogg's Frosted Flakes in lane number 2 is trying to take the lead over both the Miss Budweiser and the Miss T-Plus. Inside the T-Plus, you can see off to the left the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes in the lead. They come down to the back stretch. It is a 3-boat race. They are side by side.
Mike Hansen trying to make it 2 heat victories in a row, continuing to pile up points. I think he has the tiger in the tank today in that Kellogg's boat, Jim.
The Kellogg's boat is running good, Steve, but look at the T-Plus. He's also running well. You've got him 1, 2, 3. Budweiser in lane 1. On his hip in lane 2 is the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. And the T-Plus on the outside. Watch him pop right out of the picture. We've got a battle.
It's an amazing story because Chip Hanauer has said all year long that he has been threatened by the other boats. He said he has good competition out there, although he has dominated. Well, for the first time, he really does have some competition. Miss Budweiser has dominated this field, but wait a minute, he's going down. Miss Budweiser has gone dead in the water. She's trying to get off right now. Chip Hanauer, as we look at the onboard camera, water coming up over the cockpit indicates the boat is going dead in the water. So your new leader from Madison, Indiana, Mike Hansen, in the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. What a break. Chip Hanauer dead in the water in the Miss Budweiser.
This is a bad break for Hanauer and the Winston Eagle boat. Mark Tate was trailing the field, hoping at least that the winning points wouldn't go to that Kellogg's boat. It appears now that they might.
Well, he's still got competition on the outside. The Miss T-Plus is trying to close them down. That's Steve David of Fort Lauderdale, Florida in the T-Plus. But here's the boat he's trying to catch. That is the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes out of Madison, Indiana. There's the checkered flag. Mike Hansen takes his 2nd win of the day. Steve David in 2nd place in the T-Plus, still very much in the hunt. Winston Eagle manages to finish, and here's the way they complete. First is Kellogg, 2nd Miss T-Plus, Winston Eagle 3rd. Miss Budweiser did not finish.
The reason for the Budweiser DNF, the hot section failed in the engine. A brand new Lycoming turbine is lowered in as we go to Steve Montgomery. Steve?
The winning team in Heat 2B, the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, very busy right now. There is damage to the boat. The good news is it's fairly superficial. You can see the entire team here, the crew chief Charlie Grooms, the driver Mike Hansen, grinding on the propeller. And what happened up underneath the boat is some of what they call the false bottom peeled away. And as it came back, it took a little bit of a chunk out of this propeller. So there is damage to the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, but it's superficial. Shouldn't keep them out of their next heat.
The Winston Eagle crew checking over the bearing housing on the back of the prop shaft as we continue with racing from Honolulu in just a moment.